Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to my entry into Randall Nelson's 200 subs contest. Well done, Randy. Thoroughly deserve it. In fact, you deserve a heck of a lot more and you will get a heck of a lot more subs. Randy is one of the good guys in the VC. I think he's a great lad. He replied to nearly all of my crappy threads I did earlier on in the year. He had a go. Fair play to him, so I'm happy to do this entry into his contest. Okay, Randy's a bit of a traveller, hasn't been able to travel due to COVID, so there's 3 questions here and it's all to do with travel. And the first one is regarding your hometown. To show acts or from your hometown or your home county or whatever. Now, Northern Ireland is the smallest part of the United Kingdom really. There's population of about 1.8 million, and from the top to the bottom it's about 110 miles, and from side to side it's about 130 miles at a stretch, with a dirty big loch in the middle. So there's not a lot of people live here, but we've had our fair share of so-called stars really. So I'm from a town called Coleraine, which is between the county of Londonderry and the county Antrim, which are the 2 biggest counties in Northern Ireland. The other 4 counties are Fermanagh, Down, Armagh and Tyrone. Now, so I'm going to show some from around my area. Really, the town is called Coleraine and there's 2 seaside resorts more or less on a triangle shape. One is Portrush and one is Portstewart, and they're both about 4 to 5 miles away from me, so we look at that whole area as the triangle area. Now, there have been people come from the triangle area. So first up, and this here is a band called Perfect Crime. They didn't have any success. They've only ever had 2 singles. This one is Brave and this one is I Feel Like an Eskimo, and they're from around the Coleraine area. They actually made performances on UK TV. I think one was Tis Was, another one was Razzmatazz. I think both are now on YouTube. I've actually uploaded a video about 7 years ago with these 2 singles sort of merged together as a one video. So I might actually put a link below for that. They're sort of a little bit like U2, a little bit like Simple Minds, but with a little bit of extra special magic dust on them, because I think these 2 singles are absolutely brilliant. The lead singer is a guy called Gregory Gray, and after Perfect Crime in 1985, those singles were 83 and 84, he released this album called Think of Swans, which is really good, and this would have taken up quite a bit of the Perfect Crime set at the time. Since that, he released a couple of other albums, solo albums, but unfortunately he passed away a few years ago. I think he was living in New York at the time. So that's one. Another one is Paul McCartney and Wings, and the guy here is from Portstewart, and that's Henry McCullough, and unfortunately he passed away a few years ago as well. So he was with Wings for the Red Rose Speedway album plus the Hell on Wheels single, and I think he was supposed to go on the flight for Band on the Run but didn't go. So Henry McCullough, part of the Wings history. We also have a girl here from the beautiful south. This is their 2nd album, Choke, and her name is Brianna Corrigan, and I'm not too sure where she originally came from. It could have been Newry or somewhere like that, which is quite down south in Northern Ireland, still in Northern Ireland, but she lived most of her life in Portstewart and she was educated in Portstewart. So Brianna Corrigan from the beautiful south. Okay, so those are the ones that are very local, but within County Derry and County Antrim we have our 2 main cities. In Antrim it's Belfast and in Derry it's Derry. So first of all, I'm going to show my favourite band from those areas. I will say there's been bands from Northern Ireland from the 90s onwards, like Ash were from Northern Ireland, Snow Patrol were from Northern Ireland, but I don't have anything from them. So the first one is Belfast. And my favourite band from Belfast was Stiff Little Fingers. Loved them. This is their double greatest hits. Punk era, brilliant. And probably the most famous guy from Belfast, and it's Randy's favourite, and it's Van Morrison, and this is his Enlightenment album. Yeah, I picked this one because I love the song Real Real Gone. It's one of my favourite Van Morrison songs. So Van Morrison from East Belfast. Derry, obviously if you have stiff little fingers you have the Undertones, and these guys were brilliant as well, and they were my favourite band from Derry without a shadow of a doubt, with Fergal Sharkey, and then the other guys went on to form that Pit Roll Emotion in the 80s as well, before coming back with a new singer with the Undertones. But the main guy from Derry is actually, I believe, a fellow called Phil Coulter. Now Phil Coulter was a songwriter, and he wrote with a guy called Bill Martin, and he wrote hits for Sandy Shaw, Cliff Richard. For example, Puppet on a String was their song, and it won the Eurovision Song Contest in the 67, and then they wrote Congratulations for Cliff Richard, which I think came second the year before. They wrote for the Bay City Rollers things like Shang-a-Lang, Remember, Summer Love Sensation, All of Me Loves All of You. They also wrote for Kenny, The Bump, and Fancy Pants, and they also wrote for Slick, the band that Midge Ure was in, and the song Forever and Ever was a huge hit. So they were like the Chin and Chapman of the 70s, but not quite as successful, although they were massively successful. But Phil Coulter, he released a few albums in the 1980s, and it's just him tinkling away at the piano. It's really relaxing music, and I love them. So Phil Coulter, he was actually from Derry. Okay, the second question is to show songs about your hometown. I don't have any. I can only go with Derry or Belfast or Carrickfergus. So Belfast, and believe it or not, this is about Belfast, and it's Boney M, and it's Belfast, and it was a big hit over here in the 1978, I believe, or 77. Also we have Brian Ferry doing Carrickfergus from his The Bride Stripped Bare album. It's a beautiful acoustic version of it, excellent. I think Dexys do that as well on their covers album. But probably the most famous song, and I'm going to show Jim Reeves here, is a song called The Londonderry Air. Now the Londonderry Air is a piece of music, and there has been many different lyrics put to that piece of music, but the most famous is a song called Danny Boy. And Jim Reeves does a beautiful version of this on this Golden Records album. So Danny Boy is mostly now adapted as Northern Ireland's theme tune. It's a beautiful, beautiful song, but originally it was just the music, and as I say, there's many different people have written different lyrics for that music. So Danny Boy gets my choice, probably for the best of them all. So that's question 2. Question 3 is, where would I like to travel to? Well, I'm not a traveller, I'm a homeboy, always have been. I haven't been anywhere apart from other places in the UK and Spain and Mallorca. That's about it on holidays. I honestly don't know. America somewhere. And I was just thinking about this. I remember watching Stephen Fry do a series where he went through every single state in America, all 50 states, and you know, even for a short period of time, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. He did it on a London taxi cab, and I would like to do something like that. I wouldn't fancy the whole glitz of New York City or California or anything like that. I'd be more interested in the rural areas. I would love to see Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. That would be #1 choice, just to see that. And the warped mind of me would love to go to Texas, just to see Huntsville Prison, where there's been an awful lot of executions, which that there actually does blend in well, because I think Jim Reeves himself was from somewhere in Texas, so that blends in with that album. Yeah, and just to go through various states. I know it could take forever, and I wouldn't do it in a London taxi cab either, and I wouldn't drive the whole way either, but that was probably what I would like to do. Okay, as I say, subscribe to Randy. I'm going to put a link to his channel below. He is one of the really good guys of the VC, and hopefully Randy, you get a lot of people entering this contest, and your subs count go flying. Okay, that's me for now. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.